Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back, or welcome to another Bangs audio review. This is the COVID 2024 subvariant edition. Yeah, so that's happening. Anyway, before I go down for the count, I wanted to do the ISN NEO3 review because it's just a really cool set. So I'm going to say right out of the gate, this may be too bassy and maybe too dark for some of y'all. Okay? It's not like a universal Harman kind of tuning. It's got a lot of bass. It's not super bright. But the signature does lend itself to playing certain things really, really well. We will get into it, and we'll get into how to sort of approach it, at least from my experience over the past day and a half or so. What ended up being like best combination as far as tips go, as far as sources go. Yeah, so all that good stuff. But we'll start, of course, with the usual unbox and specs, and I have the tipsy cleaning cloth over it because it's shining too much with the light, unfortunately. So I'll try to remove that and get to it so I don't blind y'all. Plus, there is something waiting in the wings right here. And yeah, to those who are on the North American tour who have not received this yet, I promise you I will fully disinfect it before I send it along. And I'm only going to use my own ear tips and probably use my own cable too, so I touch as little of it as possible. But I'll make sure it gets sanitized before I send it off to the next person. Thank you to listener for that, by the way. So, back to the NEO3. I don't know if there was a 2 or a 1. Maybe. We have 1 planar and 2 dynamic drivers in this guy. The planar is a 5.8 millimeter driver for high frequency, reading right off the back of the box. And then, like, this didn't make any sense to me, but there's a single dynamic driver, 6 millimeter for mid frequency, and a single dynamic driver, 6 millimeter for low frequency. So 2 6 millimeter drivers are creating that much freaking bass. Actually 1 technically, I guess, with the crossover. I don't know if I've heard that much bass coming from a dynamic driver that small before. It's kind of mind-boggling. Impedance is 15 ohms, sensitivity 105. Frequency response 10 hertz to 20 kilohertz, and the cable is straight 2-pin. Not like the ISN 30, I think, was the MMCX. This is a 2-pin cable. And so you can cable swap, which I did for a minute, but then I just went back to it because I really like the ISN cables in general. And I have to say thank you to ISN Audio on AliExpress for extending to me a discount in exchange for a review. Now, they did not ask me to say anything, and all thoughts and opinions, of course, are my own. But I did want to say thank you and acknowledge the fact that I did receive this set for half price, because I'm going to do a review of it. It's pretty cool, you know, like I'm getting to the point where people are sending me complimentary sets, you know, and like Science Audio has done it, Artie and Volkchoy did it, the upcoming R6 review. That is really cool. It is not expected. It's just nice. And equally as nice is when a seller meets you halfway and says, okay, yeah, if you're going to do a review, you'll pay $100 instead of $200 for this set, which is what happened with the NEO3. So much appreciated. Not going to influence what I got to say about it. I could tell you that for sure. So, anyway, in the box, just wanted to be transparent. You get tips. You get more tips. Yes, there's more tips in there. I thought so. It's a pretty simple unboxing, but lots of tips. I love lots of tips. Went with the TRN T ear tips, which were perfect. Freaking perfect with this set. There's your cleaning tool and your clip, your cable clip for your shirt, which is pretty cool. Like I haven't used it from the other set. I haven't used it as much as I thought maybe I was going to, but you know, it's nice that they include it. It's just a little thing, you know, which is pretty cool. And then of course you get your ISN case, which is elegant, really well magnetized, stays closed, embossed. I like their cases a lot. You know, their cables aren't super thick, so you don't have to worry about them fitting, and the IMs themselves are not super big either. So yeah, the case is pretty much perfect for them, and pocketable, you know, for sure. So yeah, the unboxing is simple. It's, you know, it's $200. Some people would expect maybe a grander presentation. I don't care. It's not something like, I mean, when I unboxed the Hodur, yes, I was like, ooh, goody goody. But if it comes like this, as long as it has what it does, good case, good cable, plenty of ear tips, if it's not a, you know, crazy unboxing experience, that's fine. Oh, there's some other stuff we're going to get to soon. On to these guys. Build quality, medical grade resin, 3D printed, of course. You've got your, now you can actually see in there and see your two dynamics and your planar. Yeah, so those are not big. God, they sound big though. Holy crap. Again, cables, very nice. Really no complaints. Like I feel like, you know, $200 is kind of where you find a lot of good value these days. And I really don't feel like the NEO3 is any exception. But we're going to get into sound. And this is probably where some of you are going to go, okay, maybe not for me. And some of you are going to go, okay, yeah, I want those immediately. Because they did some things like really, really well. So I did put them through the paces, so they went through every single test track. I tried some different ear tips on them. I found that the wider bore ear tips kind of messed with them sonically a little bit too much. Like, they're tuned this way for a reason, the way that they are. And so matching up basically the nozzle size with the bore width of the tip provided a really fantastic experience. So I would highly recommend the TRN T ear tips with these. I'm sure you can use stock too. Some of those stocks are probably the right size as well. But anyway, let's go on to our sonic impressions. Okay? Here's the graph. See if I can get this nicely into the picture for you. You can see it's got a whomping like mid bass. Sub bass is rolled off just a little bit, not like tremendously so. It does have some rumble to it, but this is kind of like, I call it the mini Hodur. It's tuned somewhat similarly to the Hodur, but doesn't quite have the technical chops that the Hodur does. And you know, it's a function of probably the driver configuration, right? Because the Hodur was single DD 10mm and then a BA full range, and then the EST giving you a lot of treble extension definition. This is relying entirely on the 5.8mm planar for the treble, and you know, it's not super bright. Here's the other part. Like, this is what I think I missed on the ZGAT Sino, and I still don't like it. You know, I don't really feel like the drivers were tremendously good in it. So I just didn't like the sound quality of it. But yeah, this is a low pinna gain set. So for those of you who are like sensitive to that area, that 2 to 3K, the rise here is very gentle and not very high, right? So, but then it does extend, and you've got a little peak here, and I think that's definitely the planar coming into play, right? So it's not completely without trouble. It's just a little darker tuning. What this does is that it allows for very long listening sessions with no fatigue. Now, that being said, if you are an airhead or a treble head, this set is not going to be for you. Okay? I'm not saying you can't enjoy it. I'm just saying that just look at it. That's what it sounds like. It's tame in the treble. Decent extension, definitely good detail retrieval, but tame, right? So this set is like perfect for people who get fatigued by too much pinna gain and too much treble. It's perfect for that. Well, that, and you gotta love bass, because the bass is whomping bass. That's how I describe the bass. The bass on this is basically like it runs the ragged edge of being completely out of control, yet still maintains control. So it's right on that edge of being like too much and being like overpowering and like overtaking everything else, but it never does. Which is a pretty cool, like, it's a fine line to walk, you know. But it's pretty cool that they pulled it off, and I think they really pulled it off nicely, for sure. So yeah, another set that I just love. I love it because, again, it's got some difference to it from other sets. I love it because the pressure doesn't kill me like it did with the butterfly. Like, I can leave them in for long periods of time, which I did. I think I took like test tracks about 20 at a time. Oh, and by the way, I will be adding some of your suggestions to the test track list. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And then listen to Fear Innoculum in its entirety, listen to Lateralis in its entirety, listen to Emperor of Sand in its entirety, and listen to Take Me Back to Eden in its entirety. There's no problem with listening for a long period of time with these. They just, you know. But, there's a but. Here's the deal. Because of the low pinna gain, because of the slightly darkened treble, they're high volume set. I didn't know what these were capable of until I turned them up. So, unlike like the Hodur, you could listen to at just kind of any volume you really wanted to, and it was, you know, it showed what it had. You didn't have to turn it up. These guys really show you what they've got when they get to high volume. So, like, for example, on, get down here so you can see it, I was running at 44 out of 100 on the TA22. I was running closer to 42 on the FIO K11. I did turn that down at the end of one of the songs. I can't remember why. The Zendak V2, I mean, it was good. Don't get me wrong, but I did have to turn this up a little bit more. It doesn't have the power that these guys do. So you do have to turn it up a little bit. Boy, I had that past half. That was past 12 o'clock. Huh. Anyway. Rumbly bass. Not like rumbly so much in the sub bass, but just like rumbly, thumpy, crunchy bass. Fucking love that. Like, it's a Basshead's dream, honestly, because I feel like if only the Hades had been like this, you know, or close to this, it would have been, you know, you could actually listen to it. And I feel like if the Sino had been a little bit better, be kind of maybe similar to this too. But this just takes those and wipes the floor with them. Like, there's no comparison to either of those sets. Honestly, I'm not even sure why I'm comparing them. You know, except for the pinna gain, probably. Similarities. Yeah. So, yeah, as you might imagine, hip-hop and R&B was great. What didn't they... I don't know. Like, they still did fine with K-pop. Melody Gardot sounded really good, and the Trebko sounded really good. I'm trying to think of where they weren't, like... You know, I don't think that they had a problem with anything. I think it's going to be the tuning that you might have a problem with. Not the quality, certainly. But I think that if you don't like listening to things at a loud volume, and you like your treble to be sparkly and airy and super extended, not happening, for sure. But, you know, you can always that would be it. That would be like the weak point of them, right? Every set has its own personality. It took me the better part of the entire day yesterday to get to know them, like who they were, and then figure out about the volume. Up better, higher better, better performance. Just, I mean, you can turn them up as loud as you want. You can turn them up to the point where you probably could damage your ears, which I don't recommend doing. But they don't distort. You don't lose anything. You just get more volume, and I think with that you get more performance, better head stage, better detail, all of that stuff. So high volume set for sure. And it passed, they passed the tool test like nobody's business. I don't know, except maybe the Hodur. I don't know that I have a better set for tool than the NEO3. I freaking loved listening to it. Louder the better. It was amazing. That's when they really showed me who they were, was when I got Tool on there and got it turned up. Almost perfect. Just so much energy to them. Just, oh, beautiful. So, NEO3 gets the recommend, but it gets the recommend with the, if you're a bass head, not a treble head, if you like loud listening, there are some caveats to the recommend. Do I think they're worth $200? I'd like to see them a little less. I'd like to see them around that 150 mark, because I think they're a great alternative to something like the Supermix 4, right? They're like they're like the yin and yang. So that's where I would love to see them. Everyday price, $150. I think they should sell very well for ISN audio if they get the price down just a little bit. But other than that, no complaints. Yeah, I mean, shit. Anytime I can get a set that I can listen to for a long time loud, get zero fatigue, and listen to, I guess that's my favorite band, Tool. Sometimes it's Radiohead. Sometimes it's Mastodon. But most of the time it's Tool. Yeah. Pretty amazing. So, alright, I'm going to go, try not to die from COVID. And thankfully my son is at the grandparents' for a few days while my wife and I go through this crap. I will catch up with you guys later in the week, depending on how well I'm feeling. And I will start testing on the DaVinci, because I know that everybody's kind of waiting for that review to happen. So as long as my hearing isn't terribly affected by this, I will start testing today, and hopefully, if all goes well, have a review up for you by Friday. That's going to do it for today. Wish you all the best of health. I hope you don't get COVID. It just sucks. Anyway, love y'all. Nothing but peace to you. We'll see you in a few days. Peace.